What's going on, everybody? We are here to talk about week one. NFL is here. It's been a long year, long wait, and the highly anticipated 2021 season is about to kick off. So today I want to talk to you about a few different things to help you with your NFT draft and your NFT tournaments. So when you go and set your lineups, you are going to be looking at a lot of different combinations with all of the injury news, with everything that's going on. We're going to help you guys out. So today we're going to specifically talk about spreads. It's extremely important that you understand what the NFL spreads are when you're looking at any type of weekly or daily sports. We're going to look at streamers. Streamers are guys that are not typically your bona fide starters. You know, your Travis Kelce's not a streamer. George Kittle's not a streamer. But as far as a tight end or a defense or a kicker, there's always guys that you can pick up off the waiver wire, or you guys can, play if you have the card that you can put into your lineup. And these guys are, they have a good matchup and your starter is injured or has a bad matchup. So that goes for quarterbacks, tight ends, and defenses. And then stacks. We have to talk about stacks because there is so many of them going on. And again, the game spreads really help you pick those stacks because you're going to want to pick stacks that have weak opponents. You're going to want stacks of quarterbacks and receivers, or quarterbacks and tight ends, or quarterbacks, receivers, and tight ends that are going against a soft opponent that are projected to score a lot of points. So when you're in these tournaments, you want to have stuff like that that'll give you the edge. So checking weather reports. That may sound like a really silly thing for fantasy football, but if they're playing outdoors and they're playing in the rain and it's 25-degree wind, that is it's something you need to consider. If they're playing in a dome and they're playing in perfect weather and perfect conditions, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs against the Houston Texans, you better be playing your Chiefs. But if it's if it's the Houston Texans and they're going against, the Baltimore Ravens or the Pittsburgh Steelers or Los Angeles Rams, a really tough defense, you're looking at a really bad offense versus really bad defense. So let's get into it, and let's just talk about some of my favorite. Well, let's talk about the top 5 spreads. Okay, so for NFTs, you're going to look for players that are involved in the Las Vegas Raiders Baltimore game. You're going to look for teams that are in the Tampa Bay Dallas game, Pittsburgh and Buffalo, Arizona and Tennessee, Seattle and Indianapolis, Kansas City and Cleveland, Green Bay and New Orleans. Green Bay and New Orleans is a 51-point spread. So what they're saying is they're expecting those teams to combine for at least 51 points. Vegas is, so that's the over-under. Kansas City, it's 53, which is tied for the top. It's Kansas City and Cleveland. Should be a lot of fantasy production there. Seattle and Indianapolis, 52 points. Arizona, 51.5 versus Tennessee. Pittsburgh, 51 with Buffalo. Should be a lot of offense there. Dallas versus Tampa Bay, 53 to start the season off. Again, tied for the top. And then you have Las Vegas Raiders versus Baltimore. So we'll come back to these matchups when we talk about the stacks. But when you're looking at the top 5 highest projected by Vegas total point scores, you're going to want pieces of that. Then you're looking at your streams. Let's just start out with quarterback. Again, if you got a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, or you got Justin Herbert's card, the QB1 for Kansas City or the Chargers, you're not looking to stream anybody. They have good matchups. They're expected to score a lot of points. You pretty much plug and play those guys all the time. But let's say you have a card, you're holding on to that Justin Fields card, waiting to play it, but you have to play somebody that you're not as excited about because of their matchup, whether it's, Jameis Winston against Green Bay, or whether it's Dak Prescott against Tampa Bay. You're looking for somebody that's a streamer. Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater gets the New York Giants. He is the starter. He's got a ton of weapons there. They got 2 great running backs. The offensive line is improved. They have a great play caller in Pat Shurmur. And the New York Giants is the matchup. That's the number 2 best matchup of the week. Wentz. Carson Wentz has the number 3 best matchup. So Carson Wentz, he's going against the 3rd best matchup. I know he doesn't have all of his passing weapons, but he can run a little bit, and that offense just produces. Look for Nyheim Hines to be somebody that produces out of the backfield and makes up for some of the lack of receiving options they have. And Michael Pittman Jr., if you have that wide receiver 1 card for the Colts, it's only 15 points. It is a great play this weekend. And if you're looking maybe possibly a stream and stack there with Wentz and Pittman. Then you have Trevor Lawrence. I know it's a rookie, but not a lot of people are going to trust to play him this week. He's got the Houston Texans. So if you're looking to set your lineup up to be a little bit different than everybody else, Trevor Lawrence, great choice. You're not having to pay the premium like you are with some of these other guys. He has the 8th best matchup this week. Mac Jones, another rookie. I get it. I get the nerves to do it. But again, you kind of want to make some of these, exciting plays to make your lineup a little different. Mac Jones gets the number one opponent this week as far as a quarterback fantasy production given away to the quarterback, and it's the Miami Dolphins. So Mac Jones is the number 1. Tua is number 5. I know that changes a lot this year with some of the opt-outs coming back, but Stephon Gilmore is still not playing. So that team's going to be a little bit different. Tua's got a ton of weapons. It's a whole new offense there. It should be pretty exciting. Tua has got the 5th best, and I wanted to throw it in there. The Packers, they're not the best defense, so let's not overshoot the fact that Jameis Winston has the 6th best option, and he wasn't even projected to be a starter. So when you go and set your lineups, you could put any of those guys in. So just to review the guys that I put up there, Teddy Bridgewater, Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jameis Winston. So the next would be your tight end stacks. So as far as tight end stacks, you're looking at tight ends that are not usually, the top 12 guys that people are drafting or in most of the general rankings. These are guys where, again, if you had Irv Smith as your starting tight end and Irv Smith is not playing, obviously you need another option. You could go with Chris Herndon. Chris Herndon is there filling in for Irv Smith, but he just got there. I don't know how much he'll be involved, or Tyler Conklin. That might be a little bit tough. But if you got the Patriots, what's interesting is per the depth chart, tight end 1, tight end 2 could be Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry. So you're playing a little bit of a wild card there. But Jonnu with the number 1 matchup, Jonnu Smith. So if you play Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry, that Patriots tight end 2 card, which is the cheaper of the 2, you're going to get the number 1 matchup. You can stack it with Mac Jones, or you can just play it so you don't have to worry about Irv Smith. Mike Gesicki, he's the number 5 best matchup. He's a borderline top 12 guy. You could easily go and slide him in there. That matchup, is going to be a nice matchup against the Patriots. It's a divisional matchup. Should be a lot of fun. And Will Fuller is out this week because he's still following up on his suspension. So, Gesicki's still going to see some time there in the slot. It's going to be Devonta Parker. It's going to be Jalen Waddle. It'd be, Gesicki be the 3rd option, basically. Tyler Kroft, this is a really deep one, but he looked good this offseason, and he is the clear-cut number 1 tight end there right now. They shipped off Chris Herndon, and Zach Wilson he's going to be playing from, he's going to be looking for somebody out there. And Tyler Kroft, he looked too often the other day in preseason. And then Jawan Johnson at number 6. Again, we talked about Jameis Winston. Jawan Johnson, number 6. So that's a lesser-known guy. So the TE1 for the Saints is not going to be Taysom Hill. It's going to be Jawan Johnson. Adam Trautman is out for an extended amount of time with a foot injury. So he's going to be out. Another injury to update you guys on. The Giants, Evan Ingram is not expected to play week 1. So if you play the Giants TE1 card, it's most likely going to be Kyle Rudolph. Caden Smith was also banged up today. So he missed practice. So Caden Smith or Kyle Rudolph could be the starting tight end for the Giants, not Evan Ingram. So let's talk about defenses to stack. And I just talked about my Giants. Denver, as much as I'm a Giants fan, I'm not a homer. I'm going to give you guys good advice. Denver's a very good defense. The Giants' offensive line is ranked 32nd by PFF, and Daniel Jones has been prone to turnovers. So Bradley Chubb, Von Miller against that defense is going to be very tough. And if Daniel Jones has a few turnovers, you possibly get a pick six or a scoop and score. That could be big points for you. Denver is going to be a hot defense this weekend. Miami versus New England. Let's not forget, Mac Jones is still a rookie quarterback. He could have some turnovers. Even if he puts in a good fantasy performance, it could still come with some turnovers. Miami Dolphins get him. The Los Angeles Chargers, they get Derwin James back. I think people underestimate how good this guy is. Derwin James is just so good. They got a defensive-minded coach. They're moving in a different direction with a new offense, a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, a new head coach. They get the Washington football team. Washington football team has been a little bit of a hype, but let's not forget Ryan Fitzpatrick has been Ryan Fitztragic plenty of times. So you could see Ryan Fitzpatrick out there slinging the ball, and you could see a lot of Derwin James and Chris Harris and all those guys just getting all over him. He's not only been known for interceptions, but also fumbles. So look for the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a really deep one. This is a really risky one, but I have to throw it out there. I've said it before. People have said, Dave, who should I look at when I'm targeting, defenses? I said, just look up the Houston Texans schedule, print it out, and just stream whoever's playing against them. Tyrod Taylor's the quarterback. Last year, he played in one game for the Los Angeles Chargers. He looked very bad. The offensive line is not great. The weapons are not great. That is one of the worst rosters that we've seen in the NFL in a long time. Bill O'Brien burned all of their picks. He chased away all of their good players, and that team is going to be in the running for the number one pick this year, possibly the next 2 years. They are a bad football team. We will see on Sunday. The Jaguars, they're not the best team in the league, but they do have some talent on defense. They got a few pass rushers, a few corners, playmakers, and they got a few linebackers. So I like some of the pieces on that defense. Again, it's Houston. I think you could find a sneaky, very cheap play there with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So again, let's talk about our stacks. So when you're talking about stacks, again, you can go with plenty of variations. You can go with a three-headed stack and go with a quarterback, a receiver, and a tight end. Or you can go with a quarterback and two receivers. You can go with a quarterback and just one tight end or one receiver. And every time that they score, you score twice. So if you went with Darren Waller and Derek Carr is a very cheap option. Darren Waller is a little bit more expensive for tight end, but he still projects to be one of the top three scoring tight ends on the week. So if you get a top three tight end this week and Derek Carr happens to have a top 12 week, you're already going to be in the top half, if not the top third of the scoring. They have one of the highest projected games. I know it's Baltimore, and if it's Baltimore, you could still see Las Vegas playing from behind. That leads to a lot of Darren Waller action. They also have Dallas and Tampa Bay. You could go either way. This is one of the highest projected points of the entire week. So then you're looking at Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. You're also looking at a very cheap option of the TE1 or the TE2 on Dallas, which is actually Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin. Blake Jarwin is now the number 2 option there. I think he's the better play. So if you're going to look for a really cheap option when you're setting your lineups, the Dallas TE2, I think it's a good option. You got Tampa Bay. There's so many different options you have here. You could go with the Tampa Bay wide receiver 3, Antonio Brown. And that again is another way to sneak some upside. It's not going to be as expensive to play Antonio Brown as it is maybe the wide receiver 1 on Houston, but you're probably getting a better play. You're getting better value. And put Tom Brady out there. People don't necessarily love Tom Brady because he doesn't run the ball and he's not one of those Konami code running quarterbacks. But he still puts up points. They're going to put up a lot of points. Dallas Cowboys defense stinks, and you can see Tampa Bay go wild on them. Tom Brady and Mike Evans was a very successful stack last year, and so is Chris Godwin. So you're pretty much either way you go here, whether you go with Dak and CD, or Dak and Amari, or you go with Tom Brady and Mike Evans, or Tom Brady and Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin. Either way, you're going to be good. The running back to own in that game is obviously Ezekiel Elliott, but Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette both have a little bit of sneaky value playing them. But really, anywhere you go on that, you could even do a game stack where you say, I'm going to take Dallas, I'm going to take Dak and Tom Brady as my quarterbacks, because you can play 2 quarterbacks in NFT draft. Then you could turn around and get Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb with Chris Godwin, or Chris Godwin or Mike Evans or Antonio Brown. That's called a game stack. When you see these high-scoring games, like if you see a game that's projected for 65 points, like remember the Rams and Chiefs a couple years ago, you want every single piece you can get. I'll take the kickers. I mean, you just want those points. So getting those points and spreading them out to different teams does help you. Sometimes it does limit your upside. So like it's good to stack and get those 2 different players. But again, if you have 2, like if a running back and a receiver stack, I don't like. And the reason I don't like that is because there's only one football. And unless the running back or the receiver throws a touchdown to the other person, you just limited your upside. When I have the quarterback and receiver, I know that the quarterback and the receiver, if the receiver scores a touchdown, it's most likely coming from the quarterback, right? So I get, 14 points, we'll say. If the running back runs it in, I'm only going to get 6. If the receiver catches the ball and I don't have the quarterback, I'm only going to get 6, right? So it limits your upside by having, a running back and receiver on the same team. And if there's, 85 fantasy points going on in that team, most likely, the quarterbacks and receivers are not going to hurt each other, but the running backs and receivers can. Another one on here, Arizona and Tennessee. So you got, DeAndre Hopkins. You have Kenyon Drake and James Conner. Not Kenyon Drake, sorry. Chase Edmonds and James Conner. You obviously got Derrick Henry. Arizona and Tennessee is going to be a very interesting game because Tennessee is going to do everything they can to slow down this game, and Arizona is going to do everything they can to speed it up. They want to take Derrick Henry out of this game. They want to speed it up. They want to get up, 14-0 and force Tennessee to throw the ball, and that's where they're uncomfortable. Kansas City, Cleveland, Green Bay, and New Orleans, you could go all over the place with either of these. Again, if you go with Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes and Mecole Hardman would be like a unique lineup where everyone else is going with Tyreek Hill. You go with Mecole Hardman. If Hill has a bad day and Hardman blows up, it's going to shoot you straight to the top of the board. Cleveland, Odell Beckham Jr. is a very questionable play right now. But if you play him and other people don't, and he has a big week, you'd be looking at a big week. Green Bay and New Orleans, another one. When you're looking at, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams is just an easy stack to play. That's as safe as it gets. But you got Jameis Winston and Marquise Callaway would be a very interesting stack because he is a wide receiver 1 in New Orleans. To be honest, I'd probably stay away from that one unless you're looking for a unique play. Jair Alexander is a shadow corner, and he shuts people down. Marquise Callaway is a good player, and I think he's going to do well this year. But getting Jair Alexander week 1 is just a really bad matchup for any receiver. And Seattle versus Indy, that's a very interesting one. DK Metcalf, he's more consistent than Lockett. But if you go with Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett, and Lockett has one of those games. I mean, 50% of the year last year, he was a wide receiver 3 or worse. I think half of those times he was a wide receiver 5 or worse. But half of the time, he was wide receiver 2 or 1. And he was the number 1 receiver twice last year. He had 50-point weeks. So if you have him and Russ on one of those weeks, and you just play your odds and play them every single week, when you hit, you're going to hit big. And like I said, he's had some league tournament winning performances that are unreal. And he does it every year. It's really hard to guess when it's going to happen sometimes. But if you play the odds and just play it every single week, you might be able to hit big. Well, I hope this was helpful. Again, this was the 3 S's: the spreads, the stacks, and the streams. I'm going to do this every single week. I think it's extremely important. It's going to get even more important when your bye weeks and your injuries are hitting. You're going to have to stream players, unfortunately. So if you have a lot of cards, you're going to have more options. So I encourage everyone out there to go to NFTDRAFT.io. Go and get more cards. Like you're going to benefit from it. And again, if you go get these cards early, it's just going to help you out. You don't want to go spend, at the end of the year, spend a whole bunch of money on the cards. Do it now, and then you get to play the cards every single week. The tournaments are free to join. You just got to pay for the cards. So if you go and buy, let's say you go buy $100 worth of cards right now, you're going to play them for 17 weeks. So you're basically paying $17 a week. You go buy $200, $200 worth of cards, $300 worth of cards. It's going to save you money by being able to play it now. And that's going to be basically your bankroll. And you're going to be able to sit on that the entire year versus trying to put a lineup together with, 12 or 15 cards. It's just not great. So super excited about this week. Super excited to see how things go with the NFT draft tournament. And I wish everybody luck this season. And just please make sure you follow NFTDRAFT.io on YouTube, Twitter, and also follow me. Dynasty Dorks Fantasy Football. That's Dynasty Dorks, 1 word, Fantasy Football, 2 words on YouTube. All right. Good luck this week.